Okay, is this a pub? Yeah, it is. I'm gonna chill out here on the couch. Why not, dude? My gang owns this place, so yeah, and the safe house too. So yeah, why not chill here at the pub where my gang owns? I feel safe here.
Thankfully, Angel and her family escaped and she was out of there by age 10 and has built a phenomenal music career since then, which she's used to tell her story and reach out to those who need to hear the same. Her music is filled with passion and revenge for all those who wronged her inside this prolific cult. Her song, Cleaning Out My Closet, is the best example of how Angel has taken her story and used it to create bad music people need to hear. Coming in at number 3, before I continue to our top 3, please just reach down there, press that thumb, let us know you like us, and we'll be so grateful to you in return. Alright, coming in at number 3, we have Joaquin Phoenix and Rose McGowan with the Children of God cult. Both McGowan and Phoenix belonged to the Children of God cult during a period of time in their upbringing. The cult was helmed by preacher David Brandberg, and you guessed it, the 60s, 1968 specifically, and it initially began as a group for teens. It was fairly standard, the communes were isolated, they believed the end was nigh, and all the rest of the things you need for a cult. No one had jobs because they didn't want to belong to the system. Soon the group had hundreds of different communes, but it was soon revealed that more sinister things were happening. The group was revealed to contain and circulate sex even using girls referred to as flirty fishers to enlist recruits at bars. When Phoenix's mother was introduced to this idea, the family got the heck out of there, and so did McGowan's. McGowan says that she must have gotten out by the skin of her teeth, but remember seeing the kind of slavery that many women were forced into. But what's even crazier, guys, is that the group is still around today, though they've changed their name. It is now called the Family International, and members are now allowed to live privately in their homes and work outside of the commune. With the allegations, they now believe that the apocalypse is actually not here yet, and they still have around 1,700 members today. Yeah, if you just got a sinking feeling in your stomach, I did too. Coming in number 2, we have Scientology. This next one is pretty controversial, as many debate whether it is a new form of religion, or a business, or a cult, or all three. If you guessed Scientology, then you are correct, and I almost don't even need to tell you who are our stars involved with it. We got Tom Cruise, we got Elizabeth Moss, we got Christy Alley, and John Travolta, and actually many more. One of the reasons people think this religion is so far-fetched was that it was found by an American science fiction writer, Ron L. Hubbard, in 1955. It was initially introduced as a kind of therapy called Dianetics, which sought to erase the content of the active mind so the soul could be more free. But Hubbard came to detest it, as many psychologists denounced it. He was like, oh, never mind, I hate it. Whatever. Scientologists mainly focus on the evolution of the spirit on Earth and something called the Thetan, which they believe is an extraterrestrial creature who created all things. Thetans are trapped within us and have lived multiple human lives. The goal of the Scientologists is to become more aware of the Thetan within them so that they can achieve abilities they never thought possible, I think. I don't know. Guys, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, Scientology is pretty confusing, to say the least. But for some reason, this science and faith-based religion has swept Hollywood, and its followers are devout, to say the least. But those who have left often have some strange things to say. One ex-member named Lair says that any materials not written by Scientologists are taught to be lies set on tearing the religion down. Anyone who speaks out against the church is considered an enemy, and they work to tear that person down. Another way the church makes it so hard to leave. Also, remember how I said some people think it's a business? Well, there is a case for that. Apparently, there are tiers that define how ascended each follower is, and that there is a top tier that they can reach. Thing is, they have to pay, and Leia says that in fact that there's no top tier, and it's all about keeping the money flowing in. Listen, I've read some science fiction in my day, and sometimes I want to believe it so hard, like literally any Doctor Who episode I'm in. Sweep me off into your TARDIS, alien boy. episode of Smallville without thinking about what was going on behind the scenes. Thankfully, the cult is no more, and many are being brought to justice. And that is our top 10. Cults come in many disguises, so let us know in the comments if you think there are any celebs and cults you think we may have missed. Also, be sure to like and follow while you're at it. We love it. On our number 10 spot today, we have the Jackson County John Doe. In 1981, a man was struck by a vehicle and has never been able to be identified. This would have just been a regular, albeit tragic John Doe case, but it really took an even darker turn. In 2014, a newspaper published a morgue photo of this John Doe in an attempt to receive some new leads. Well, they got more than they bargained for when somebody contacted authorities saying that the man looked like one in the FBI's most wanted list. This person thought that the John Doe looked like William Bradford Bishop Jr., who was wanted for taking the lives of his wife, mother, and children in 1976. Because of this tip, the authorities had to exhume the body of the John Doe, who turned out to not be this killer at all. Unfortunately, the John Doe has still never been identified. He was described as approximately 55 years old, a white male with blue eyes, brown and gray hair, about 5 feet and 9 inches tall, and 155 pounds. Anyone with information on this John Doe should contact the Scottsboro Police Department. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Etowah County John Doe. In 1998, the remains of a young male were found by some men who were fishing. He was estimated to have been around 17 to 21 years old, which is already sad enough, but then they found out that he had been killed by someone else. He had multiple bullet wounds to his head as well as stab wounds. Scientists did their best to create a facial reconstruction, but they had to estimate his jaw area because his mandible was never found, along with other limbs that were apparently also missing. Because his body was pretty decomposed and being lit on fire, they don't have a time. Go to loopslive.com and get your tickets for Something Scary Live now. Hey, I'm Markia. Want to hear something scary? Power of the Possessed. They say that every piece of jewelry tells a story. So you choose wisely when you accessorize, because if you choose the wrong piece to wear, you'll soon discover that not all stories are meant to be told. Inaya's older sister, Farah, was fascinated by old world goddesses and myths. She was always burying her head in books about the witches that roamed Turkey and the mother goddesses they worshipped. Farah, who adored her little sister, would take Inaya along with her wherever she went, including her explorations into the world of witchcraft surrounding their village. On one of their adventures, Farah became awestruck by a gold necklace that looked centuries old. Inaya thought it gave off bad energy, and just looking at it made her queasy. But Farah seemed entranced by the necklace and spent all of her money to buy it. Immediately, when Farah donned the necklace, she seemed to beam with pride. Inaya tried her best to keep her distance as they walked home. The closer she got to the necklace, the more uneasy and nauseous she became. She couldn't understand why Farah was so drawn to it. Farah, however, insisted that her sister try the necklace on, hoping to change her mind about it. Farah clasped the necklace around Inaya's neck, who immediately felt a wave of repulsion overtake her. Suddenly, Inaya felt something push her hard to the ground. She twisted her ankle in the process and gashed open her wrist, trying to catch her fall. As she bled, her sister had other concerns. "Oh no, the necklace!" Farah exclaimed. "Yeah, don't worry about me," snapped Inaya, quickly removing the necklace. They agreed the necklace was better off around Farah's neck. Inaya still felt there was something off about it, as Farah had never cared for material things more than her own sister before. As time went on, Farah seemed to become more and more obsessed with the necklace. She never removed it, and often stayed in her room for hours on end, admiring it. Inaya watched as her sister went from an adventurer to a shell of herself. Inaya even thought that late at night, she could hear Farah talking Farah left her room, Anaya decided to sneak inside and borrow some of her books. She hoped to find a way to help her sister break free from whatever curse or spell she had fallen under. Spread open on her sister's vanity, she caught a glimpse of a map of a place called Uzak. It's another region in Turkey not too far from their home. Anaya could not understand what the significance of this was, but she was certain it had something to do with the necklace. That night, Anaya heard her sister talking again. She quietly peered through the crack in the door. She was shocked to see a tall man with a thick black beard, draped in a fancy robe and jewels. He towered over Farah and the map. She heard him mention something about stolen treasures, but as she moved closer to hear them better, her wrist burned and her ankle throbbed as she felt that same wave of repulsion nearly overtake her. Anaya retreated to her room and used her sister's books along with the internet to research the necklace. She discovered it was once owned by a king with his books. However, before she could put her studies to use, Farah went missing. Remembering the map, Anaya followed it to the king's tomb. She found Farah inside, in a trance, as she followed the apparition of the bearded king deeper into the crypt and its hoard of treasures. King Croesus, Anaya screamed so loud her chest burned. You cannot have her. The ghost rushed towards her and let out a blood-curdling cry. The slash of Anaya's wrist split further up her arm, while her ankle shriveled, cracked. Through excruciating pain, she lunged at Farah and ripped the gold from her sister's neck while repeating the words, "The mother goddesses release you from torment." The king's tomb began to tremble and break all around them. With the last of her strength, Anaya pushed Farah aside. The gold necklace crumbled to dust as she watched life flood back into her sister's eyes. It was the last thing Anaya saw as the falling stone sealed her inside the tomb. Farah was safe, and that was all that mattered. The bearded king appeared before Anaya with a sinister grin. She wasn't the treasure he'd wanted, but she was still a treasure nonetheless. If you'd like to submit a story, send me an email at somethingscary@snarl.com. Hello. Our Something Scary live event is really soon, so get your tickets as before. Looped Live, we will both be doing You Have to Let the New Norm. Face lets you send scary and talks could cost you your life. Deep in the forests of India lurk devils in disguise. If you don't know exactly what to look for, it could cost you your life. Anya was excited to leave the city of Sattara behind and head to the beautiful Indian countryside for school break to visit her friend Mahi's village. There were large farms and houses with a river in the center, all surrounded by a dense forest. It felt eerily empty for Anya, who was used to the bustling city. On Sunday, they decided to go to a nearby snack stall. Ice creams in hand, they wandered for hours, lost in conversation. It wasn't until the sun went down that they even realized how late it had gotten. This countryside had no street lamps to light up the sky, and no one else was on the road. Mahi checked her cell. She had 5 missed calls from her mother. Even though it wasn't the city, there were still things to worry about. All sorts of spirits came out at night. Mahi rang for a small 3-wheeled taxi known as an auto rickshaw, while they continued on the way back to Mahi's house. They walked for a while, trying to navigate the road with the light of their cell phones. There was a muffled noise in the distance behind them. Turning, Anya could see a large shape creeping towards them in the dark. Just as she was about to tell Mahi to run, a light suddenly turned on and she realized it was their ride. With a sigh of relief, they hopped into their seats and gave the driver their address. He grunted in acknowledgement and continued down the path. "Why are you two roaming around at night?" the driver asked. "It's dangerous out here to be out like this." He told them how there had been an uptick in crime in the area, and paranormal incidents had taken place out in the woods. Agitated over the lecture they were receiving, Mahi asked him to just drive faster. Anya peered out the small window as her fear grew. She had never felt so far from everything, out in the middle of nowhere. She noticed the ornament hanging from the driver's mirror, and that brought her comfort for a moment, until something else caught her eye. She cried out as suddenly a woman sprang in front of the auto rickshaw. The driver pulled the brakes, halting to a screeching stop, but it was too late. After the impact, the woman was laid out on the ground behind them. Mahi shouted, "Let's help her," as she turned to jump out of the vehicle. But before her feet hit the ground, the driver grabbed Mahi by the arm and pulled her back into her seat. "She isn't what she seems," he growled as he pressed on the gas to speed down the path. Mahi implored him to turn back, telling him she would report him to the authorities. "Foolish child," he said. Then he told them, "Didn't you see it? That thing was no woman. That was a Charel. A dead body reanimated by a demonic force. They're shapeshifters too. Don't you trust your eyes." As Mahi continued to argue, Anya looked back to the woman in the distance. Her heart stopped as she screamed, making Mahi look back too. The woman on the ground was contorting her body back to standing. Her feet were turned the other way around with the toes as fast as he could.
If that fucking happened to me, I'll fucking shoot it.
Nearly bouncing the two young women out into the road.
And teach the lesson
As
who
they
you
held on for
put
dear
in
life,
buses.
the creature finally disappeared from sight as the auto rickshaw outran it. Anya demanded to know what the driver knew. He pulled down the ornament he had hanging on the mirror and handed it to her to see up close. It was of the god Vishnu, protector of all the universe. He told them the Charel could never be able to enter the vehicle or any place that had signs of the gods that kept them safe. So instead, the demon had tried to lure them out of the auto rickshaw, where it would then attack. Both Anya and Mahi sat in shock for the remainder of the trip. At last, they reached home. Mahi's parents hugged the teenagers tightly as they shared the events of the evening. Her parents were just happy they were home, safe and sound. But the next morning, a strange story spread around the neighborhood. A dead body had been found just outside the forest. When Anya's cell pinged with the official news alert, she was horrified to see the dead person was their driver from last night. Her heart sank. A wave of nausea washed over her as she ran to get her jacket. From the pocket, she pulled out the protective ornament that the auto rickshaw driver had shown her the night before. As guilty as she felt, she knew the Charel had seen her too. One day, it could come for her, just like it had come for the driver, and only this could protect her. Just
ghost or not. The delayed ghost, he doesn't slam it. No.
Just for the record, it's only Nick and I here. Oh my god, no! Oh my god!
Whoa. That's what he's playing. That's nice. What a good ghost.
Let's head up. Let's get up. And yeah. Go chill down at the town down here. Why not, dude? It's getting night. So yeah, it's like 4 PM. Let's head inside, head to bed, wake up morning. Just another day in the safe house. Great. It's another day in the fucking safe house. Great. But hey, I did the crime, so yeah. It's 7 AM. Let's head out, I guess. Go. Let's head down to somewhere in the town, and yeah. Just another day and being wanted, I guess. Let's chill somewhere, I guess.
Red dot. So one night a girl was asleep.
It's been a couple of weeks and I decided to chill here at this new town. At this town. Not new town, but at this town. Like it's next to my town where I'm staying for now. I can't fucking talk. Where I am staying for now. And yes, I bought me a new car. This is my new car. So, yeah. Let's chill here, smoke some weed, watch YouTube, and yeah, chill. Like normal.
When a giant spider crawled across her face, it stopped for a few minutes on her left cheek and then walked away. She woke up the next morning and looked in the mirror. She noticed a small red spot on her cheek but didn't think much of it. She went to school like usual, but when she came home from school, the red dot doubled in size and became a boil. So she booked it. Version of a scary story to tell in the dark, like the classic book series and recent feature film, where there's a spider that bites you and then there's something growing inside your cheek. I don't know. I feel like looks like it's hobbling. It's like somebody like with like a hunchback in a cave. Joy, hope you found some TikToks that made you question whether they were real or not. Some realer than others, some more believable than others. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Stick around for some blue.
What else? What else should I watch? Yeah, why not? Let's watch this.
Welcome to Watch Mojo. And today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 20 hilarious deaths in video games. See? Sniper! For this list, we're looking at the funniest and most ridiculous devices gaming has ever seen. Which of these doomed characters made you laugh the hardest? Let us know in the comments below. Now on to the top 20. Number 20, Cows. Conker's Bad Fur Day. You'll be running all kinds of strange errands for the colorful cast of characters in Conker's Bad Fur Day. One of the weirdest has to be when a dung beetle responsible for operating a poo cabin, making dung balls, enlists Conker to help him get some much-needed excrement. You do this by going above the poo cabin and finding a cow. The cow will enter the bullpen and help herself to some prune juice, which gives her what's known as the screamin' squirts. Thanks to the cows, you'll have plenty of material for the dung beetle below. Unfortunately for them, they eventually get rammed by the bull and explode. Bummer. Number 19, Attack Navarro's Fall. Uncharted Drake's Fortune. The villains in in Uncharted games are frequently destroyed by their own hubris, but few demises have been as funny and as satisfying as the defeat of Navarro in the very first franchise game. Players spend the entire game being pursued by Navarro and his mercenaries, who are in search of the legendary City of Gold, El Dorado. As it turns out, the fabled location is just a golden sarcophagus, but it gives Nate the chance to finally rid himself and Elena of the villain. Navarro finds himself conveniently positioned near a length of rope attached to a helicopter. After Nate pushes the entire downed copter from the platform, the chopper, El Dorado, and Navarro are sent crashing down into the sea. Number 18, Jamming Gun, Gears of War. You good?
Yeah, but I got a problem. Something's wrong with this thing.
The cover says 17, Losing the Princess to a Cow, Earthworm Jim. Did you think your princess is in another castle was annoying? Well, how about your princess has been taken out by a cow? That's the unfortunate fate that awaits Earthworm Jim's damsel in distress in one of the game's endings.
Groovy!
After slaving away for the entire game to try to save Princess What's-Her-Name, Jim finally finds her waiting for him at the edge of a lava pit. It's then that a cow that got launched into the stratosphere earlier on in the game lands on top of the princess. Seeing it land Number 12, Giant Launch, Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim.
Let's have another joint.
When it comes to Bethesda, it's never easy to work out if something weird is actually supposed to be in the game or not. The same goes for the infamous giant launch attack in Skyrim, where a giant will slam its club into the ground in front of you and launch you some 600 feet in the air, killing you instantly. This may be common knowledge among Skyrim players now, but for newcomers attempting to fight a giant suddenly being thrown so high they can enter the Earth's atmosphere, this is a moment of hilarity that's hard to forget. Number 11, Ambulance, Madden 92.
Red! 28!
Like any sport, football comes with its own risk of injuries. Concussions, dislocations, breaks, sprains, anything can happen on the field. In Madden 92, if a player was down for whatever reason, the paramedics would arrive and deliver what would otherwise be a very efficient service, if it wasn't for all the mass murder. While they get to the player they need to treat quickly, they do this by running over everybody in their path, comedically knocking them out of the way and then driving away with whoever was hurt. Some of those major players getting injured, totally worth it just to see the ambulance come out and cause havoc. Number 10, Animalities, Mortal Kombat 3. First introduced in Mortal Kombat 3, Animalities quickly became ingrained in the series. Not just because turning into an animal in order to brutally murder your opponent is pretty cool, but also because of the sheer ridiculousness of some of the transformations. The characters never seem to turn into the creatures you'd expect. Stryker turns into a T-Rex and bites people in half. Kano turns into a tarantula and crushes them to death. But the funniest of all has to be Scorpion. Rather than turn into a scorpion, like the name would suggest, he instead turns into a penguin and lays explosive eggs. Makes total sense. File that under didn't see that coming. Number 9, Touching the Door, Dragon's Lair. Watching a compilation of Dragon's Lair deaths takes about the same time as playing through the game without dying, but it's nowhere near as entertaining. However, the classic animation that made the notoriously difficult arcade game so endearing was scrapped for the NES port, along with the quick-time gameplay. They took out what made people want to play this game in the first place, and replaced it with even more unfair deaths, most famously by just walking into a door. And while these deaths are insanely frustrating, they're also undeniably funny. Number 8, Mace McShooty, Borderlands 2.
What's in my face?
Fucking hell, someone stole my car.
across the psycho character screaming at you in desperation to shoot him in the face. Him begging you to do so opens up the mission. Shoot this guy in the face, and when you go through with the objective, probably just because you get sick of listening to him shout, he even thanks you, in spite of the fact that he's now dead from being, shot in the face.
What are you waiting for?
Number 7, picking your nose. Quest for glory. So you want to be a hero. Lockpicking is a skill many games will make use of. After all, how else are you supposed to go through life? You can't just go wherever you want and steal anything that catches your eye. But if you take your lockpicking ability for granted in Quest for Glory 1, misusing your tools could have fatal consequences. If you so choose, you can have your character pick their nose. But be warned, if you've got a lockpick skill under 40, there's a chance you'll be a bit too ambitious with how far you push the lockpick. This causes a brain hemorrhage and a hilarious screen to pop up. Number 6, melding with Morinth, Mass Effect 2.
I never understood the fascination with safety. Some of us choose differently. Independence over submission. I think we share that, you and I.
One of the big appeals of Mass Effect is the ability to romance a large cast of characters, many of whom are aliens. In Mass Effect 2, Shepard has the option of romancing one of 2 Asari, Space Knight Samara, and her seductive but more dangerous daughter, Morinth. Morinth is an Ardot Yakshi, which means anybody she mates with will die. She's addicted to this activity because it makes her more powerful. If you choose Morinth to join your crew, she sets her sights firmly on Shepard and will try to convince them they're the only one who can survive spending the night with her. But it turns out
far
she's
away
lying, and Shepard
from us.
immediately dies.
Embrace eternity.
If there are ones out there, they won't visit us because we're like the hood,
Number 5,
basically. Like, you
Shooting
know what I
the
mean?
Water, Resident Evil 4.
They will look at us like a zoo, pretty
One of the most
much.
memorable monsters in the entire Resident Evil series is Del Lago, a giant mutant salamander that lives
So
in the lake.
fortunately,
Leon
fucking the
first
alien
discovers there's a
is
monster out
no
there when a body is
way
dumped in the
gonna
water and
happen.
promptly devoured. But if you didn't learn your lesson from that demonstration, you can get on Del Lago's bad side by shooting directly into the water. The monster will then launch itself at Leon and eat him in one bite. If you're wondering why anybody would ever do this, it's because you get an achievement for letting Leon get eaten once again. Luckily, once you reload, you can exact your revenge.
Let me try to see if there's a taxi. Actually, you know what? I'll steal this bitch. It's unlocked? No, it's not. Fuck. Oh well. Let's do this bitch. Head home. Head to bed and do the normal thing. Here we are. Tomorrow I might head to the mechanic and make this car into mine. And make it untrackable basically. Let's head to bed. Wake up in the morning. It's the next day. Let's head out and head to the illegal mechanic. What the gang own. What I'm the boss of. The 40s. The mechanic should be down here. I can't film inside because, you know, I don't want to show stuff inside. mechanic should be down here, basically. Where the fuck is it? Ah, here it is. Let's chill here. My gang owns this town, that's why I can go here pretty much. The cops on my payroll on this town. I basically run this town. So, yeah. You know.
You'll be treated to a ridiculous game over. Everything fades to black as 2B shuts down, and you're informed via on-screen text that the fish congealed inside 2B's body, leading to paralysis and a hilariously dark demise. Number 2 is service. You have to go across the entire map of New Austin, Blackwater, and Mexico to complete this long-fetch quest. Your job is to help a total stranger, Charles Kinnear, build a glider, as he wants to be the first person to fly through that region of America. Despite the Wright brothers having already invented the plane by this point in time, Kinnear is dead set on perfecting his invention. However, things take a turn for the worst when, rather than actually glide, he just goes plummeting off the cliff to his death. We may have all seen it coming, but that doesn't make it any less tragically funny when it finally happens. Think I can find all that stuff? I'll be back, Charles. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Orchid's Flash Fatality. Orchid has a bizarrely dangerous technique at her disposal. You drowned. A glitch in Driver 2 means that getting hit by a train tells you that you drowned. Swimming pools. We've all removed the ladder and watched our Sims panic at least once.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Fire Escape. Spider-Man 3.